Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases. The content may be triggering or inappropriate for some audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm your host, Charnell. And with me in the actual studio is a Patreon and very dear friend of mine, Megan.
Hello.
I think that your occupation as a judge is going to come in very handy. Just a little backstory on Megan and I's friendship. We first met when she was the prosecuting attorney and I was the CPS worker.
That was back when we had the dream team.
Yes. That was a great I hate to say that was a great time, Megan.
Right. It was really fantastic dealing with all those abused and neglected children, Charnell.
Yeah, thanks.
But we got to do it together.
We did, and that actually helped me survive. Just so you know, you were one of the reasons that I survived that job and lived to tell the tales. So
Was it the humor, or is it because you're super tiny and I was like bodyguard to you?
Both.
Excellent.
Yes.
Perfect.
Both.
So prosecuting the abuse and neglect cases wasn't always fun, but I'm sure your listeners know what you used to do and that you had to go to court and testify all the time. And so I'll just throw it out there now. But Charnell was one of my favorites, possibly the favorite, because she remembers things and she remembers them accurately and well.
Which is how I have my abbreviated notes for my podcast all the time. People always ask me, like, how do you remember all of those things? I'm like, well, when kids' lives depend on it and you have to testify about it in court, you'll learn how to memorize important shit.
Yeah, so now I'm disappointed because I thought you did the whole thing from memory, and the fact that you had to use bullet points, I'm like, so I'm going to leave now.
Oh, yes. Well, this is a 25-page. Of course, some of our court documents were that long too, though. But
your reports were.
That was a little bit more important than just telling the people stories. So, that's why I was able to memorize. I don't think I usually used notes in court, though.
You did not.
Mostly because then, I feel like people would hear the rustling of the paper. It's just distracting.
It was
so
for
I
you.
tried not to do that.
For normal human beings, they get used to looking at their reports or notes, but you
I
have
didn't like
superpowers. And I just want everyone to know that you were fondling that kangaroo sack
yes.
a moment ago. So I don't know if I'm making you nervous or if that's a regular thing.
Nope. I have told my listeners several times that I rub this thing for good luck the entire time I'm podcasting. And it's just gotten weird and I have to break some bad habits.
That's
like
right.
rubbing
Stroking your sack.
Yep. Stroking my sack in front of people is not appropriate, Charnell. I'm going to set it out of reach.
I mean, I don't kink shame, so you do what you need to do.
You feel free to stroke it, though.
Oh, you're going to let me touch your sack?
Absolutely.
This is fantastic.
Please tell everybody how soft it is.
It's very soft. It's supple.
It's aesthetically pleasing as well.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I do say so myself.
I honestly am touching this thing, and I was going to say it had a good mouthfeel, but I did not. I did not put it in my mouth.
For the record, no, she did not. Never saw you put it to your mouth.
I mean,
you can imagine.
Touch it to my cheek now, though.
That's exactly what I did the first time.
It's the first time I've ever had a scrotum on my face before.
Yeah, okay. Anyone who knows you is calling bullshit right now.
I'm offended. Super, I'm leaving again. This is awful. Is this how you treat people in your studio?
Yes, that's why the other one left. No, I'm just kidding.
It's why we bring wine.
Right.
Excellent.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, the reason that I had to start with giggling and silliness is seriously because this is a horrific case. There's going to be no laughter and fun after we get started with this. It's probably one of the worst abuse and neglect cases that I've ever covered on this podcast. So,
okay.
And that's saying something, but it is a survivor story.
Oh, see, I love that.
Yes. So there is that. I'm bringing you a survival story, also bringing you a two-parter. So hopefully if I don't scare Megan away, she will be back for the second part.
We have a safe word, right?
Yeah.
Can it be like kiwi?
Sure. I was going to suggest it be in Japanese, but fine. Kiwi's fine.
So, yeah, because I don't speak that. Anyway, I see
why.
how this is going to work today.
Just buckle up, everybody. If child abuse and neglect is not your thing, I will trigger warn you before I give gruesome details so that you can skip ahead. So you can still hear the story without hearing the details, because I will be putting those trigger alerts that I call them, because I can never say trigger.
Yeah, see, that's a merch thing right there.
I know, trigger alert.
Trigger alert. I love it.
All right, gotta wet my whistle with some water here, and let's jump in. So Some of you really big true crime lovers, you're going to know about this case, but I'm hoping that between the court records and things like that, that I'm going to be bringing you some new information. This is the case of Lauren Kavanaugh. Do you remember? That's the child's name, the victim name.
So the last name sounds a little familiar.
Yeah. It starts in the 90s. The actual trial, it hit the news and everything in 2001. So it's been quite some time, you know, at this point in time. So I felt like it was long enough ago to cover it for those true crime fans that are maybe haven't heard of it or don't know the nitty gritty and whatnot. So, but it's awful. Let's jump in here. So Barbara, she was better known as Barbie Calhoun.
Oh, please don't say it. There's something that goes with Barbie?
Yeah. Calhoun is her last name.
Oh, okay.
She does eventually meet and marry Kenneth.
I knew it.
So this is a case of Ken and Barbie
Oh, God.
and their abuse of a child.
Of course it is.
Mm-hmm. They are the Wish version, by the way, of Ken and Barbie. When you see them, you're going to be like, that's not the Ken and Barbie I remember. No. They're not great. So Barbie was 21 years old, and she was already a mother to a toddler when she gave birth to a little girl in April 1993. She named that little girl Lauren, and the birth happened in Athens, Texas. This is a Texas case.
All right. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, including child abuse.
Yes, absolutely. Barbara was not alone in the birthing room. She had her best friend, Sabrina Kavanaugh, in with her. And you see, at the time, Barbie was homeless. She had actually moved in with one of Sabrina's relatives. So that's how Sabrina and Barbie got to know each other. And when she moved in with Sabrina's cousin, I believe is what it was, she was 4 months pregnant.
Okay.
And all throughout the pregnancy, she was saying she did not want the baby. She already had a toddler. She didn't have a job. She didn't have a home. And here she is pregnant again, didn't know who the baby's father was. So she was telling all this to Sabrina and Sabrina's husband, Bill Kavanaugh. Well, they were all too happy to say, we've always wanted to be parents.
Great. So they were going to adopt her.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Amazing.
we will do that. A quote from them, actually. Just so you guys know, there's a great book out about this case called Girl in the Closet, A Survivor's Story. And there's lots and lots of different news articles. Everything that I used will be in the show notes as always. But Sabrina Kavanaugh had said they went over, they talked for many hours with Barbie about adoption specifically and whether or not it's a right fit for her, if that's really what she wanted to do. Sabrina said that she was very certain, Barbie was very certain that she wanted to give the child up because of all the things that I listed just a minute ago, and that all makes sense. So Sabrina drove Barbie to every medical appointment, and actually it was like a 3-hour loop from Ennis to Ma Bank to Athens to where they where Sabrina lived, to where Barbie lived, to where the doctor's office was. Okay. Because Barbie didn't live with Sabrina. She lived with Sabrina's cousin. So she would have to go and, pick them up and do all that. So she did all that transportation, during the pregnancy and everything. When she went in to deliver and throughout just the prenatal care, the doctors and nurses were very careful with her of, are you sure that adoption is what you want? And she was certain. Like, she told all these medical professionals this whole time, yes, that's what she wanted.
And it had to have been serious because they've been having conversations. She's been taking her to all of the doctor's appointments. So, yeah, absolutely. She would be thinking that this is going to happen.
Yes. Yep. And the Kavanaughs, Bill and Sabrina, were there the entire labor and delivery when Lauren entered the world. Okay. And they tried, the doctors, the nurses, Bill, Sabrina, they all tried to get Barbie to hold Lauren, to talk to her, to look at her. She wanted nothing to do with Lauren from the second that she took her first breath.
Okay. So
Never
she's
wanted
born,
to hold her.
Take her out of the room.
Yes. Yep. So the doctors and nurses even spent a lot of time with Barbie afterwards. Like, are you sure that this is what you want to do? They had filed paperwork, all that stuff. It's said and done. And Lauren goes to live with the Kavanaughs. And she lived there for the next 8 months with a life filled with joy and love and growth, very importantly, growth. She was typical developing. She was a happy infant until one day the Kavanaughs receive a phone call from none other than Barbie's lawyer.
Lovely.
That said...
And speaking as a lawyer myself, when we call you, no one's happy to hear from you.
No, definitely not. She had, of course, Barbie had filed a petition to get Lauren back. All right.
So they had to have just had at this point in time some type of a placement paperwork through whatever Texas would call the court. They hadn't actually finalized any adoption. There hadn't been any termination of parental rights voluntarily that had occurred at that point.
Here's the problem, Megan.
There was no paperwork.
Oh, no. They officially adopted Lauren. But what you said of the termination of parental rights was an oversight of the Kavanaugh's lawyer. He never filed that paperwork. So they went through with the adoption, but the one missing piece was that termination of parental rights. And what ends up happening is it's not Barbie that wants Lauren back. It's Barbie's mom, Doris.
Okay. So
Doris wants
Grandma aware?
Grandma wants the baby back.
Lovely.
Okay.
So Grandma's
and I'm
aware
saying
that she wants
I will give you quotes from Doris, and you're going to understand where my venom and actual mocking of this woman comes from. But yes, she is the one. She was a paralegal. She did her research, happened to get into the file and notice the one missing piece, that termination of parental rights.
It makes me sick because I don't feel like that would happen now.
No, probably not. I agree, because now there's more of a chain of command and events of the paperwork.
Absolutely.
That's outlined a lot better than it was in 1993.
Well, think about our terminations, whether it was a voluntary or not, and all of the paperwork that you go through, and the judge is going through every single thing and making sure you understand. So it wouldn't just be signing a paper that got missed in the file. There'd be a recording. There would be legal a court hearing that had occurred.
Yeah. Yep. No, not back then. They had legally adopted this child, but it's a technicality that ensues. What happens is when she files this petition, of course, really the Kavanaughs weren't that worried at first because
she's their daughter.
Right.
Legally.
Yes.
Probably the birth certificate's been changed at this point.
Like they legitimately told, Doris had originally left a voicemail message saying, Lauren, this is what's funny. Doris called Bill and Sabrina first to say that Barbie wants her child back. Now, why wouldn't the mother be the one to make that phone call if that's how we're doing this? No, it was Doris. And so the Kavanaughs just simply said, get a lawyer. Because to them, they're like,
I might have said more than that.
Good luck. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe she did. It wasn't documented. But
get a lawyer.
I would have too. Absolutely. My daughter, 8 months, But the only reason that she had filed this petition is because Doris had already looked through everything and caught that loophole. So she knew that legally they had a leg to stand on. And she did. It took a year, but they eventually do win the custody battle.
Oh, who wins?
Barbie.
Okay.
Yep. That does eventually happen.
Oh, okay.
So Doris Calhoun, let me tell you a little bit about her.
Oh, I'd love to hear. She sounds like a nice person.
Mm-hmm. Doris Calhoun is actually Barbie's own adoptive mother. She adopted Barbie.
I see. Mm-hmm. See, it's making more sense now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she is quoted saying, Barbie had an absolute right to change her mind. A mother who makes a choice to give up a child has not abandoned that child. It's a loving choice. That's a caring choice. It's a wonderful choice. And she is a great person to have made that choice. She said that after the fact, after I tell you what happens to this poor girl. This woman, in my opinion, because I'm sure she's possibly still alive out there. I don't know.
Only the good die young.
And true. She's fucking living forever with Barbie, from what I can tell.
Cockroaches, Keith Richards, and Doris.
Yes. Doris and Barbie. They are going to outlive us all.
So what she said there was actually nice. I agree with those statements. A lot of
too.
them, right? What a giving thing.
Yes.
Right? And obviously adoption is something that's dear to my heart. And we worked in that capacity for so long.
Yep.
But she says this after.
Yes. She actually says she is a great person to have made that choice. Yes, you're right, Doris. She was. So why the fuck did you come in and intervene and muddle it up? Because all these things that she's saying, like a mother who makes this choice to give up her abandoned child, that's a loving choice, 100%. So if you're saying that and you truly believe it, why didn't you let your daughter just make that choice? Well, what her problem was is that she felt the minute that those custody papers, the initial custody papers in the hospital were signed, everybody left Barbie. Everyone left her, and they just wanted to attend to the baby, which Bill and Sabrina are like, well, we had to take our baby home, right?
Well, they weren't adopting Barbie.
No.
You already adopted her, Doris.
Also, Barbie wanted nothing to do with the baby. They are now the caretakers of the baby. What are they supposed to do?
Was Doris at the hospital too?
She was, yes. And that's why she was saying the family, this is her actually saying the family dashed out of the room to see the baby. She sat in her room for 10 or 15 minutes and thought, what have I done?
Doris thought that?
No, that's what Doris is saying Barbie thought. You don't know what Barbie was thinking.
This is hearsay, Charnell.
It is.
This is hearsay.
It absolutely is. And Doris is angry at that. So that's when she starts going and digging for all of this. And she calls them and says that she's changed her mind. She wants the baby back. And they tell Doris, go get a lawyer. So to Doris, those were like fighting words. Like, fuck too, fine, I will go get a lawyer. She spent $650 getting a lawyer.
Wow.
I know. It's 1993.
It's a bargain. It's a deal. It is. $650, huh?
Yep.
That'd get you about 2 hours with a lawyer now.
Maybe. It'd get you through the door in a handshake.
Yes,
I think.
We are more expensive than very, very good prostitutes.
Yes, you are. Bless your all's heart, because we need you. We do.
And when you say you mean me as in a category.
Yeah.
Not me.
Not you personally.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes. So at first the judge awarded Barbara, who is now no longer Barbara Calhoun. She is now Barbara Atkinson because she married Kenneth Atkinson. So at this point in time during the legal proceedings, they are Ken and Barbie Atkinson.
All right. So
yep.
Ken comes into the picture.
Ken is in the picture.
He is not, to our knowledge, biological father.
He's not. Nope. No.
Okay.
No. That sperm's long gone. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, one did its job.
It sure did. And from what I can tell in my research, there have been many visitors to the Barbie bar. So it's hard to tell who her real father would be. There were lots of shots. There were lots of shots taken. Yep. Man down.
We've all been to this bar.
Yes.
We've seen
the damage it can do. We're too old for that now, though.
God, yes.
Then, at that point in time, so the judge is like, listen, okay, I'm going to award you. They did it kind of at first. They're like, you can have, you're going to have primary custody, and the Kavanaughs are going to have visitation not only on the weekends. Okay, so that was at first. This is about the only time in the court records that you can find where it seems like Lauren had a healthy home life with her biological mother and with her stepdad, because the court's still involved. She's still seeing her her adoptive parents on the weekends. So everybody's got to stay on the up and up. There's photographs showing birthday parties, wagon rides, moments where Barbara was playing patty cake with Lauren. Everyone's looking like a happy little family. Again, the court is still involved. And then in 1995, a traveling judge from Houston, Lynn E. Markham, awarded permanent custody to Barbie, despite the fact that the Kavanaughs had serious concerns for Lauren's safety already.
So during the court case,
yes,
they are having concerns.
Yes.
Despite the happy pictures and the birthday parties and kind of like when people pretend to be happy on social media.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. That's why my husband and I just make fun of each other. That's how you know our marriage is strong.
Excellent.
You never find any sappy things
just
about
post
each
pictures
other.
Of the dogs.
Yes. Trying to mold into his DNA and become one with him.
That's a different episode.
It is. It really is. Possibly for a psychological podcast as well.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yes. The Kavanaughs say there were scrapes. There were bruises.
Wait, how old is she?
So she's 2.
At this point.
At this point, in 1995, she was born in 93. In 95, when he was when the biological mother there, Barbie and Ken were awarded permanent custody.
Okay.
1995. She's about 18 months old. I know for a fact 18 months old is the last time that the Kavanaughs were able to take her to the doctor. It comes into play later.
Okay.
And
you know why I was asking, though, right? Because if we were talking about a non-mobile, then those scratches, bumps, and bruises aren't normal.
Oh, no, exactly. This is it. There's scrapes, there's bruises, there's fire ant bites. But the most problematic sign for the Kavanaughs was that when Lauren started kicking and screaming when they were trying to change her diaper.
Yeah, I don't like it already.
I know. It gets really icky. And so a quote from Sabrina said that her bottom and legs were bloody red from front to back. She said, I don't think that it's diaper rash. I think that Ken was already sexually abusing her because she would not let us touch that diaper in any way.
And this is about 18 months, which was the last time they
actually last see her at 20 months. But So yes, this is before 20 months old. This is in 1995 at the time that they are awarded full custody. And what happened is they took her on their weekend. The Kavanaughs took Lauren to Children's Medical Center in Dallas for a sexual abuse evaluation. The doctors would not perform it, saying that they cannot do it just based on you're pretty sure that she was sexually abused. They would only do it if they were 100% certain she had been sexually abused.
You would have to walk in on it for 100% certainty.
Thank you. Because also I'm like, isn't that why you do the test?
Yeah, it's kind of the reason.
This is how we prove that it happened. And they said that it would be too traumatic on her, so they weren't going to do it. So then the judge physically says in court that them taking the pictures to try to document the sexual abuse was more harmful than any abuse this child was going to sustain from her biological mother.
So they're basically trying to say that it was child sexually abusive material, taking the photograph, even though
that's more harmful than
actual sexual abuse?
Anything that her mom will ever do to her, because this is all suspicion. There is no proof.
Did anybody look at the pictures?
To my knowledge, they did, because the problem is Judge Mark Ham got extremely angry at the pictures. He was angry that they were taking the pictures. And he did say that there was 45 photographs as evidence were submitted into the court over these.
Of all of the injuries.
Yes. Yep, exactly. The judge wrote a statement on January 6th, 1995, where he said, which she was born in April 93, so she is under 2 years old. He said that the Kavanaughs were clearly the better parents, but to take the child from her birth mother, they had to prove that Lauren would probably be harmed if she was raised by Barbara Atkinson. Quote, the real basis of the Kavanaugh's case rests upon their belief that the cumulative effect of all their testimony indicates that the child will be injured in the future. He wrote, this is merely a statement of opinion. It is not supported by any evidence. I'd have to say 45 photos is contrary to that remark.
45 photos is
of evidence.
Actual evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Indeed, many children move often. Because that was one of their issues. She moved around a lot. The parents, they got evicted all the time.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about mobility. They were actually, Ken and Barbie were moving around.
Oh, yeah. Ken and Barbie moved every time the rent was due.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Super, super healthy for the little gal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people who have to move often because they have monetary problems aren't good parents, but look at what we're looking at here.
Right.
We do have evidence.
We're having accumulation of evidence here to say that this is also going to affect things.
So you have something medical. I'm just to make this clear. We have these medical things. Mm-hmm. Potentially a sexual issue that was not ever fully investigated because it was denied for whatever reason. And then in addition to that, we have in the Ken and Barbie home, instability.
Yes. Yep. Also another one of their issues, how dirty the house was. So the judge is like, listen, many children move often, grow up in unkept home, receive less than optimal supervision, because that was another problem that the Kavanaughs had. They didn't really keep a close eye on her, and have frequent injuries, and have some degree of diaper rash. However, the court...
Wait, the judge...
This is the judge's statement.
The judge diagnosed her from the bench with a diaper rash?
From those photos.
With no testimony of that.
No.
Ooh, see, slippery slope there, Charnell.
I know. Oh, it gets worse. He said, however, the court cannot conclude that these conditions will significantly impair the child's physical health or emotional development. Now, this legal standard does still exist, and I'm going to tell you that this Markham judge, today, after all this breaks in 2001, he says, I really wish that the law could have been interpreted differently, but it couldn't be.
No, you interpret it.
In his mind, and he literally said, had there been more evidence that was filed by the Kavanaugh's attorneys, the outcome might have been different. No, sir, you literally say in your statement, indeed, many children move often, grow up in unkept homes, receive less than optimal supervision, have frequent injuries, and have some degree of diaper rash. Diaper rash. You did not know if that was diaper rash. You could have ordered from the bench
the exam. Absolutely.
Yep.
So you have people who are actually testifying that they believe there was sexual abuse. We have these photographs. It bothers me that there was a medical diagnosis made, unless I'm missing something about expert testimony being given here.
There was none. But that was what Markham said. The attorney, the Kavanaugh's attorney, did not come forward with expert testimony. Herein lies the problem. The Kavanaughs tried. They took her for a sexual abuse exam, and the doctors wouldn't do it because there was no court order to do so. They couldn't do it based on, you think that this is, they heard custody battle, and so they're thinking that this is just their way of trying to get a medical expert, and it was all blown off. I firmly believe that they would have found actual evidence. Well, we know in hindsight she was absolutely being sexually abused at this time.
Right. So this is mayhem.
So yes,
complete mayhem. Mm-hmm. Such a bitch. This should not have happened. Mm-hmm. It should have stopped right there.
Right. It never ever should have allowed. But what's pissing me off is the way that they're passing the buck. Right. Well, if the Kavanaugh's attorney had filed more legal medical experts, and the attorneys are like, excuse me, but if the judge had said, let's look into this more, or maybe, I don't know, denied the petition for custody change until further. Exactly.
Adjourn it.
Sure can just push it off until more is investigated. There isn't even a CPS investigation about it.
So I was going to ask you that.
No.
They never called whatever their DFS, CPS
They called it Child Protective Services like we do.
Okay, so they never called CPS when they saw the apparent sexual injuries?
To my knowledge, I'm sure the Kavanaughs did. I couldn't find all of the CPS records. What we do know is that each and every time that CPS showed up to investigate this family, they either wouldn't come to the door and then were gone the next attempt that was made. They moved that frequently. I mean, they didn't have a pot to piss in. They didn't have anything to their name. They could pick up and go at any time. And there's another incident where there's a CPS worker knocking on their door and they had the wrong name. They had her by Barbara Calhoun. So Ken and Barbie happen to be coming home from the neighbor's house, see this CPS worker, and are like, oh, hey, can I help you? And she's like, yeah, do you know Barbara Calhoun who lives here? She's like, oh, nope, we don't know anybody by that name, because she was Barbara Atkinson at the time.
Oh, God
and they just
bless her
never
heart.
Came back. Didn't ask for their IDs. That CPS worker didn't even realize that they lived there. They're just walking down the street.
Does it bother you at all that there's that CPS investigation that didn't happen, and you know that happens, right? Mm-hmm. Evade, I should say. So when they're at the hospital, did anybody call CPS then? We're talking about mandatory reporters here.
That's exactly what I thought, too. That's why I was looking for the CPS record that said that this medical staff heard there were concerns for sexual abuse, denied a rape kit or even a SANE exam, which is a sexual abuse exam without the full probing of a rape kit.
Right.
And And to my knowledge, I do not think that they called it in because there's no records after that.
All right, you have to be appropriately angry at how the case has been handled so far.
Yes, it is, and it's 1993. So, well, 95, excuse me. So, and even still
this
today.
This isn't 1895, though. I mean, there was still, we had a lot of scientific means at that point and a thriving legal system.
We did, yes.
With rules that we followed.
With rules, laws, people.
It was the year I graduated from high school. It wasn't that long ago, right? Oh, shit. Maybe it was.
Well, it was a bit. I'm not calling you ancient, but it was a bit ago.
You'll be there soon.
I know. Some time has passed. The other thing is, though, I'll say even today, Megan, Texas child protection law is not what Michigan's child protection law is. It is very different.
So they're missing some state lawsuits.
Yes, we just need, that's what happened to Michigan, and it worked like a charm. Now we can protect our kids.
Yeah, you had a time frame to get our shit together as a state.
I know, that's when I came into CPS.
It was, so you came in at the right time because, I mean, you had your shit together, but prosecutors at that time, man, we really had to start upping our game in terms of what we were doing in prepping our CPS workers, and then your investigations just got better, so much better. So that's not something that had occurred in Texas, to your knowledge.
No. I only know that because I had a really bad case come through that originated in Texas. So I had long conversations with CPS workers from Texas.
Thank you for sharing.
There was lots of...
Send them to Michigan.
Yes, exactly. Like, thanks. Next time, can they go someplace else? I hear Nebraska's great this time of year.
And no offense to Texas. I'm sure it's lovely, and the San Antonio area is beautiful.
It is. It absolutely is. I like Houston. But, but their laws in general, their child protection law in general is not as strict as Michigan is. So... Okay. The last time so as I said, sorry, backing up a little bit, as I said, the Markham guy's like, your attorney, Kavanaugh's attorney, never provided evidence or expert testimony, and that Lauren's scrapes and bruises were evidence of child abuse, and if the attorney had, his decision would have been different. That's the hill he's dying on, okay, after the fact. So the last time that the Kavanaughs see Lauren was the day after Christmas, 1994.
Okay.
So they don't get to see her after the judgment is made on January 6th, 1995. She was 20 months old. At that time, Barbie had given birth to her third child. She had broken up with her husband, Kenneth, and she'd moved out of her mother's house. The Kavanaughs met Barbie in a Walmart parking lot in Jasper, in East Texas. Sabrina Kavanaugh, with Lauren on her hip, walked to the door of Barbie's pickup truck. She handed her a piece of paper with phone numbers. She kissed Lauren on the forehead and let her go. She looked at Barbie with her eyes pleading and said, if you ever change your mind, it doesn't matter where you're at, call, collect, whatever, I will come and get her at any time. But what the Kavanaughs did not know is that when they pulled out of that Walmart parking lot, Barbie returned to the Walmart parking lot to park in the back to stay in the truck because that's where her and the kids were living.
Okay. How was it that she came to be there anyway? The Kavanaughs to visit Barbie
at the Walmart parking lot? Because they still had, this is the day after Christmas, right before the hearing. So they are
still in some contact.
Well, they still had their weekend visits.
Oh,
this is the last time up until that January 6th hearing where he awards full custody. They still had their weekend visits.
So this is like the last visit.
Their last
she turns
visit.
the little one over, and then she drives back behind Walmart where she's living.
Yep.
Never occurs to Barbie to ask for help at this point, right?
Correct. She's not asking for help because Sabrina later said that she knew that Barbie was going to abuse her. She knew that she was not bonded with Lauren. And when she asked her that last visit, this is the last weekend visit that they get before that January 6th hearing, she asked her, like, why do you want her back? Here you are with 3 kids now. You just moved out of your mom's home. She wouldn't tell anybody where she was living because she was living in her truck. So she's like, why do you want her back? And her response is, my mom spent too much money getting her back. I can't give her up now.
Good God, how did this not come up in court?
I don't know that they would have that they were even believing anything that the Kavanaughs were saying because they were they were being seen as just this evil family that was trying to rip this girl away from her biological mother at this point in time.
Can you imagine?
And as I told you, the legal
Not
fees
because
were
I love her.
$650.
Well, $650.
Yeah.
My God. If you weigh that in one hand and the love for a child in another, I could see where you might get confused.
Yeah.
Insert sarcasm.
Right.
God.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, we may have heard similar things, honestly.
Yes.
In our own cases.
We do have dumber reasons. I firmly believe that every termination trial I went to, the parents didn't really want their kids back. They just did not want to lose to the government. That's how they saw it in their eyes.
I agree. Some of them. No, we had a few that we went through all the way where I think that they genuinely loved their children. They just couldn't be the ones to do it. They needed the court to be the bad guy, which we were happy to do, right? But for I guess the most of them, the great majority, the people who were voluntarily surrendering, voluntarily terminating their parental rights because they knew they just couldn't do it. They couldn't get off the substances. They couldn't get away from the abusive relationships.
That's a totally
God, those people love their kids, and they're hard.
But that's the hardest decision to make. They love them enough that they have to give them up because they can't get themselves right. Barbie is sitting here in a situation of just, well, my mom wants me to have this kid back, and she spent $650 on it, so I guess I'm gonna.
And where's Doris at this point?
Well, that we will get to later.
Okay.
Doris is going to piss you off even more here in a little while.
Excellent. You know we like getting Megan pissed off.
We do. So Sabrina and her husband Bill tried everything that they could think of to find Lauren after they have to let her go that night. Okay. And after they no longer have their weekend visitations and the rights are fully given back to Barbie. But they couldn't get any information. She's just vanished. They called Doris for information, and the answer was very short. You lost her in court, just let it be. That's all Doris would tell them. They hired a private investigator, but he came up empty because literally she's homeless. That's why the private investigator came up empty. She's couch surfing.
Doris wanted Barbie to get this child back so badly, she then kicks her out of her home and won't let her come stay there, or she left?
No, Barbie left.
Okay.
Yeah, Barbie left. But Doris knows this.
Right.
So at what point do you not realize, Doris, that maybe your grandchild might be better in a stable home than with your daughter, who she later recognizes has some serious issues?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good timing, Doris.
Right.
You've been very helpful.
Right.
And why didn't Doris file for custody, right?
Could have. I had that thought too.
She could have.
If you wanted this child in your family so bad, why didn't you then?
A technical error is a technical error. She could have filed for custody the same as anybody else could have at that point.
Yep. Nope.
All right. Keep going.
They couldn't find her. They did continue, though, to buy Lauren every birthday and Christmas gifts. They bought her Barbie dolls. And
I'm clutching my heart.
She is. Yes, I wasn't sure if you were
having
stroking out or what was going on over there. Yeah, they continued.
I think I told
these
you,
years.
Please record my death if it happens here. I want it played later.
We will, only for a special audience, though. Her bedroom remained untouched for years with the gifts that they bought her, just in case she ever got to come home, that they could give her. They moved from Ennis, Texas to Canton in 1999 when Bill retired after 35 years in the glass company in, oh gosh.
Do the whole sentence again. Say it faster.
Bill retired after 35 years at a glass company in
Spell it. I got to hear.
Waxahachie?
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie? You know it?
No, I made it up.
It's spelled wax.
It has to be Waxahachie.
It has to be.
Is it in Louisiana?
No, it's still
on the
Texas.
border, I guarantee you.
Probably. So it's wax, then the word wax, WAX, AHACHIE. Wax. It's got to be Waxahachie.
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie. Gosh, our southern
way to
listeners,
use
let
this.
me know.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry to your southern listeners.
Oh, they know. I butcher it all the time. They've wrote me and said that they think it's funny. Like, I'm not making fun of y'all. I love your accents.
They make fun of us because we say milk.
Well, we do, though.
I know we do.
It's true.
and refrigerator.
Refrigerator.
Really fast.
Right. We do. There's a lot of other things that we really fuck up, too. So it's all good. All right. So the Kavanaughs, they're moved. You know, Bill, he is 6'2". He's like a cowboy. All right. He liked to fish and hunt. Doris, she was a big John Wayne fan. She had photos of Lauren around their house. And as they struggle to kind of keep Lauren's memory alive, literally in the same token, her biological mother, who just fought so hard to get her back, spent those years forgetting all about her. I'm going to tell you that Barbie Atkinson ends up having Lauren for a total of 6 years after the judge awarded her full custody in that Ennis County court.
Okay.
In that time, Barbie marries twice, divorces twice, reconciles with Kenneth Atkinson, so they are once again Ken and Barbie Wish version.
I like it. I'm glad they're happy.
Who was a carpenter but unemployed all the time. She also was unemployed all the time. She had given birth.
So what was her profession?
All I know, she liked to frequent honky-tonks. She was always on unemployment. They got food stamps.
Okay.
All.
And again, know lots of people who are fantastic parents who do this.
Absolutely.
But consistency's an issue.
Yes.
They've had no contact
They're
at
not,
all.
They're not properly caring for these children. Okay.
How many are there now?
Well, that's what I was getting to. She gave birth to 2 boys and a girl, so she now is an unemployed mother of 6. They have 4 different fathers, so I'm sure that there might be some child support there.
I hope so.
I don't know. She doesn't know who Lauren's father is, so that's a problem. I don't know if she knows who the other fathers are.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't order child support from her previous adoptive parents.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. She moved every time rent was due. Again, I mean, people can have lifestyles like this and still be good caregivers. And the fact of the matter is that I don't want to say they were good caregivers to the other 5 children, but they certainly did not treat the other 5 children the way that Lauren gets treated. So like I said, they moved a lot. They lived in a mobile park home near Longview, a couple of places in Waxahachie, and finally they end up in a filthy mobile home in Hutchins, Texas. And at each move, it seems as though Lauren's life got worse, but it was the mobile home in Hutchins where everything goes down. This is where I'm going to give a very, very big trigger alert to, like I said, it's a survival story, but some of the things I have to tell you are going to be graphic and disturbing.
This is where you hold on to your tits?
Yes, this is where we titty grab.
Okay.
Each other
my
together.
Arms aren't that long, but I'll give it a shot. Okay. I feel so comforted right now. Put your hands back on your own and explain. And
let's get on with the show. So I'll tell you, the neighbors of Ken and Barbie did take notice that Barbie was gone a lot and she'd be leaving the house boasting her voluptuous breasts. She liked to frequent the honky-tonks. But
Is there a picture?
Yes, honey.
Okay.
You don't want to see it.
No, I do. You said voluptuous breasts, so now I have to know.
No, it's not anything that they were knee knockers, you know, but.
Well, I mean, gravity.
Gravity sucks.
4 kids.
She's 6. She had 6 kids.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Good God.
I'm painting a picture here.
Yeah, I'm getting the picture, but she's leaving.
But she's leaving and Ken is staying. So the neighbors are noticing, and the neighbors are like, dang, he's like always doing stuff with these kids. You can always see him outside with the kids when they're riding their bikes. You know, he's changing diapers. He's attending to boo-boos. He's feeding these children.
This is all good so far.
Right. So the neighbors are just like, they are literally like, we don't know why Ken puts up with Barbie because she be gone all the time.
Ken needs to leave Barbie for Midge.
Yeah. Yes.
Remember Midge?
I do.
The saucy redhead. Set in a room full of blondes.
I know. Oh, we have redheaded friends, though. They're great. So
scary, but great.
Terrifying, but super awesome. And listening right now. So hi.
I was going to say hi to her by first name even.
Yeah, she's coming on Sunday.
Ooh.
She's going to be on a 2-parter on Sunday.
That'll be fun. There'll be so many swear words.
There will be. So the the listeners will get to know her.
Perfect.
Our saucy redhead friend. We don't really know why Ken does what I'm about to tell you that he does.
Okay.
I can tell you.
This is still the trigger alert?
Yes. In my own personal opinion, I don't think that Ken just suddenly grew a soul. Okay. I think that he figured out that Barbie was skirting around behind his back and he got sick of it. So he decided to tell the neighbors, there's something that I need to show you inside the trailer. And this poor neighbor that he picks was a woman named, again, I keep looking at you instead of my notes and I'm doing this by memory. So you are. so nice to have someone in the studio.
I'm batting
look
my
at.
eyelashes at you.
It's
and
amazing.
licking my lips.
Yes, you are.
Well, there's wine on them.
The
and
wine.
It's tasty.
So he picks Janine Rivers, his neighbor, to tell his dirty little secret to.
Oh God.
And says,
Okay.
there's something that I need to show you inside the trailer. So they're all outside. This is June 11th, 2001. Our friend Jason's birthday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah. But June 11th in Texas is like the devil's armpit. It's hot.
No, it's hotter than, yes, than the devil's armpit.
Just smoking.
And is smelly.
I don't know that it's any lower than the armpit yet. I feel like August is more like the devil's groin.
That is where you get into the, famunda
Oh, yeah. We
of
don't.
the devil.
Right.
August. Yeah. Yeah.
Come in and smell something, Janine.
Yes. Well, that's a big part of this, as
Oh,
a matter of fact. Yep. So he's like, listen, all their kids are outside riding bikes. And he's like, he seemed really, really stressed out and disheveled. And he's like, he looked like he couldn't wait to get something off his chest. So she chatted away and she followed him down the hallway into the master bedroom of their trailer. He scooted over a basket of overflowing clothes. And then he took a few hangers off the doorknob of the closet and swung the closet door open and says, "Hi, Lauren."
No. Nope.
What Janine Rivers said is what she saw was a monster, a little bitty monster. And she says this in the court testimony. She said that Lauren's hair was so frail and without color. Her arms appeared to be no bigger than an inch wide. She was naked. Lauren looked up but did not speak. One eye was crusted shut and had a yellowish green goo on it, pink eye. And the other was partially closed. Her skin was pale and lifeless. And Rivers said in court she's ashamed of it, but it scared her. What she saw scared her, and she didn't reach down and grab the child and run like in hindsight she feels like she should have. But to be fair to her, that would be a terrifying sight.
It would
You
be
wouldn't
terrifying.
know what to do.
What
And
would your reaction have been?
I honestly, Megan, I don't know. You've got the perpetrator who you know is responsible.
Yeah.
A big part of the responsible
And
of
that's
doing
why I
this
said,
to her.
you know what my response would have been, and this is why it's good that, one, I don't live in Texas, and two, that I don't get in these situations. I would have assaulted that man.
Well, what she did is she was like, why is she naked?
Why is she in the closet?
Right. She asked that. And then she said, do you hug her? Do you hold her? Do you feed her? Does she know she's loved?
Oh,
And Kenneth said, I do when Barbie lets me. So then he closes the closet door, but he is standing so close to this woman, he has to actually physically wrap his arms around her to close the door.
fucking creepy.
Exactly. So I think for her,
Well, she was
she's
terrified.
scared. Yes. And so
Is she going to get out of the trailer? That's what I would
Right.
also be thinking at this
Me
point.
Me too. Am I going to be locked in something next? Did he lure me? We are now in the back of this trailer in the master bedroom. I see what he's capable of doing to this child. Am I next? Yes.
So these neighbors had to have seen him outside being the father of
Yes.
the year with 5 children.
Yes.
But they didn't realize there was another.
We're getting to it.
Ugh.
Yeah. So she actually testified that it was worse than what she has seen in pictures of a Holocaust victim. She said that she's never seen anything that bad before, and she started to remember the first time that she met Ken and Barbie Atkinson. He introduced her to 5 of his children and made a vague reference to a girl named Lauren. He said that Lauren lived with her father, and later, during a joint family cook-off. No, they were not. It wasn't a cook-off. It was not a chili
prize.
cook-off. No,
The
it was
prize
a
is a
cookout.
night in the closet.
Yes, it was a cookout, not a
Great.
cook-off. Rivers jokingly asked Kenneth Joni asked Kenneth how he managed to feed all of his kids, and he replied, food stamps.
Okay.
And then launches into a story about Lauren, who he referred to as the ghost child.
He called her the ghost child?
Yes. So then Barbie shoots him a look that Mrs. Rivers had caught and was like, wait, what was that all about? So then Barbara goes on to explain that Lauren ate compulsively. And so when she would come to visit, they would have to lock up the cabinets and refrigerator because she would roam the house at night, wolfing down all the family's food. And she said she was like a ghost child. because of the way that she'd roam in the night. That was the story that he made up to cover up Ken making a vague reference to her being a ghost, the ghost child. I think that's just so how far detached he was. I mean, this kid is not his at all.
Nope.
And he's
sexually abused her when she was an infant,
toddler, and further, and
I'm sure
and
you're going to
longer.
get to that, right?
We are. There's not enough wine in this room.
I just feel like I need a refill, but I'll wait a minute.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I still have a few more sips.
So,
ghost child.
oh, she even said, she told this story, this weird story to the neighbors about how they found her in an empty trailer nearby once, sitting on the floor, eating in the dark, eating dry ramen noodles. And everyone
Charnell, what if these things are true?
Oh, no, I think
She's
they are
starving
now.
and locked in a closet, and she might have been eating dry ramen noodles in somebody else's trailer.
Or she might have just been doing it in their trailer.
Yeah, wanders the home at night trying to get in to eat food because she's starving to death.
Well, later we get to, that's exactly why they end up locking her in there, because she would wander around at night to get food because she was being starved.
Fantastic.
Yes, but that makes her a bad girl to a fucking heinous nutsack like Barbie Atkinson.
Is she 8 at this point? Because you said she was with her mom for 6 years,
Yes,
and she's 8.
She is 8 at this point. Yeah. As Mrs. Rivers is like recalling all this stuff, she realizes the whole time that they were at that family cookout, Lauren was literally in the next room, starving to death. She calls 911. The police arrive. The detective sergeant Landers of the Cockrell Hill Police Department.
Probably cockerel, but I like how you said it
I
better.
prefer to say Cockrell. Emphasis on the cock. Yeah.
Always emphasis on the cock.
My husband would agree. But he led the criminal investigation against Ken and Barbie, and he remembers every detail, which I totally understand that. I do from my worst ones, too. He said that there were officers from at least 3 other police agencies that came into the home, collecting evidence, all that stuff. It smelled like a filthy litter box. It looked like a homeless camp. There were piles of dishes with rotting food, mounds of moldy clothes, toys and stuffed animals strewn everywhere. The detectives took notes of the cabinets that were packed with graham crackers, macaroni and cheese, bags of bread, and tubs of coffee. The refrigerator was stocked with the most important things: Coors Light and a few carton of eggs. In the freezer,
And milk.
milk. In the freezer, there was a chicken and a ham that sat on a shelf next to 2 packages of microwavable enchiladas. He said there was a lot of food in the refrigerator and fast food boxes everywhere. So people were eating, and Barbara sure wasn't missing any meals.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
I freaking love him.
I love it.
I love
Yes.
it. Perfect.
And he's right. She absolutely wasn't.
Okay.
And what got the detectives the most is that they found tons of dog food for the dogs.
No.
Not only that, but dog vitamins. They were treating their dogs better than Lauren. Now, they did find what we usually find on these raids. It was always my favorite thing to find.
Porn.
Box of sex toys.
Sex toys.
Yes.
Of course.
But there was no direct evidence of sexual abuse or drugs at that point in time.
Really?
Yep. They did seize a wooden paddle and a book called 101 Activities for Children in Tight Spaces.
No.
I am not shitting you. Which I'm assuming is maybe a book they got because they lived in a mobile home and had 6 kids, so every space was tight.
Yes, but if you can,
irony.
see me smiling right now,
I know.
right? Like for Christmas.
Did Doris get them that?
Right, for Christmas this year, you get a Barbie dream house and you get a book on what to do in the closet.
Yes, exactly. For the child who can't read because she's 8 years old and has
Never been to
locked
school?
away. No, of course not. She's been locked away this whole time.
Oh my God, I have so many more questions now, though.
I know,
right?
but I'm going to get to it.
Okay,
Don't
good.
worry. So eventually the officers make their way to the bedroom closet. They remember 2 things about that closet: the smell and the first step. It was carpeted, and the urine just squished up all the way around the officers' shoes. There wasn't a dry place that they could find that was not soaking their shoes, that wasn't soaked with bodily fluids, and there was feces smeared everywhere. They did collect that carpet for evidence to show the jury, which is awesome. and also the most disgusting job that anybody had to do, and I feel so bad for them.
Well, I think we've learned that you need to have the most obvious direct evidence possible.
We have.
Since obviously medical pictures.
Right.
Pictures don't work.
Pictures aren't going to do it.
No, so
Nope.
here is dripping, urine-soaked, fecal-soaked carpet.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody look at this and smell it.
Also, the closet door, because of all the scratch marks that were on the inside of it, showing how much she had tried to get out.
You are goddamn right. I would bring that door in
Fuck
and
yeah.
lay it right there in front of them.
Sure would. Heck yeah. That was the first thing the detectives told his officers to take.
I like it.
Was the closet door.
I like this guy already.
Yep.
Can I send him flowers? Is he still around?
You know, I don't know if he is, but we should send him a very nice Facebook message if he is.
Absolutely.
There was
Send
a
him
lot of really good detectives
kangaroo
on this
sack.
case. Yes. Here's a kangaroo's ball sack
Stress relief.
to show you how much we love you.
Nothing says love like balls.
Well, for sure. My Patreon knew that that's exactly how to show me love, was to give me the scrotum sack of a wild animal. So,
Not sure what that says about you, but
I know exactly what it says about me, and I'm okay
but I was
with
being
this.
nice.
I know. Detective Landers was another detective on the case, and he took statements from Barbie and Ken and figured out that basically it just started out with Barbie just putting Lauren next to her on a floor on a pallet at night. But when Lauren would get up and get out and go in the other room, do stuff that toddlers do, Barbie started putting her in the closet with a gate across it. And then when Lauren got old enough to push the gate down, then she just started shutting the door. It's like this escalation of events, okay?
Can I ask, is this a walk-in closet? Like, can an adult go in it? Or is this like a typical in a trailer, which I've been in, right? You go in and there's like the sliding door or the accordion door, and there's like, 3 feet of space?
It was 3 by 5.
I don't math well, but that's what made sense to me. So.
This is why we're in the professions that we are. Yeah,
right.
We don't math well. So Ken just mostly blamed his wife for the abuse and said that it had gotten worse after she had a miscarriage and fell into a depression. Blah, blah, blah. Keep talking out of your sphincter. Ken, we really don't give a shit because...
Lying through his what?
Yeah, sphincter.
Lying through his taint.
He
I like
was.
taint better.
He really... I don't even know that that's good enough for him because
this was full on sphincter lying.
He also denies sexually abusing her, and so does Barbie. But we'll get to the most horrific discovery that they made that I've ever had to say on this podcast as more than enough evidence that this girl was sexually abused.
Okay.
So, and I will give a trigger alert on that before. So she's rescued from the closet on June 11th. She had more than 24 cigarette burns and puncture wounds across her back and face. Her hair was lice infested, almost translucent, and her esophagus was clogged with feces, carpet fibers, and plastic.
Her esophagus?
Mm-hmm. Because she had been eating those things.
Yes.
As part of it. She has an eating disorder. Now.
Obviously. Mm-hmm. Starvation being one
Does
of them.
That.
But
Yep.
Yeah.
So Ken knew that the police were coming, obviously, because, he showed his neighbor her. So he called his mom for advice, sent the 5 children that were ranging in age from 1 to 10, 1 years old to 10 years old, the other 5 children. He sent them to the Rivers' house, okay? And he let Lauren out of the closet, dressed her in jeans and a striped sleeve polo shirt, and made her some, I believe it was SpaghettiOs, sorry. Made her some SpaghettiOs. So about 6 o'clock when the police officers show up, that's how they find her. And the address of the trailer was 16 Moonbeam Road. They actually had Mr. Rivers go in first in hopes that Ken wouldn't escalate and then not allow a search because they don't have the warrant yet. They're just responding to Mrs. Rivers' phone call. Okay. So he goes in first. He's a friendly, he's a neighbor, friendly guy. And it works, and he allows the officers to come in without the warrant. But the officers are looking for an 8-year-old girl. They look right past Lauren sitting.
Does she look like a toddler?
She's 25 pounds.
Oh, son of a bitch.
And she's 8 years old.
Okay.
So, of course, she has not grown since she was 2 years old.
Can she even walk?
No. Couldn't even sit herself up.
She's just sitting in a closet.
Yes. She couldn't even hold herself up, so she's slumped against the back of this chair, and they think that it's a toddler. So they're like, where's Lauren? And Ken's like, well, she's right here. The police officer, Gary McLean, actually said he thought she was 3 years old. And so he immediately says, where's Lauren? And then he walks over and he's like, hi, I'm Officer McLean. I'm here to take care of you. She smiled. She smiled at him. Firefighters, EMTs, the sheriff's department all show up. Lauren's vital signs were normal, but she was complaining of a backache and bugs in her hair, which
she did.
Very bad. Yeah, lice really bad. Now they asked, this part's going to break your heart. They asked her what her age was, and she held up 2 fingers and said 2. And later when they asked her why she believed that she was 2, she said, because that's how many birthday parties I've had.
Oh.
She was 8. I know. Then she asked them if she could go to the potty because they don't ever let her go.
Right.
Yeah.
She didn't want to sit on the carpet anymore.
Mm-mm. Yep. So they had lived at that mobile home at 16 Moon Road. I think I said 16 Moon Road or whatever. Moonbeam. Yeah, whatever the fucking address was. Yeah, 16 Moonbeam Road for a year. So nearly all that entire year, Lauren was locked in the closet. Oh, and I'm sorry. It was 4 feet by 9 feet deep.
Oh, my God. We're off by a foot.
Yes. Well, but there's also junk in there with her.
Well, sure.
It's not like she had 9 feet of space here. She slept and went to the bathroom in there. When she was rescued, her bottom and her legs were red and peeling from sitting in her own urine and feces. She was covered in linguno hair, which is like a downy layer of hair that infants have.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's childbirth, the little bit of hair they have on them
Yes.
sometimes when they're born.
Yep, but it's also a sign of starvation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, your body starts to grow hair to keep itself warm, right? Since you don't have fat.
Yep.
Let me see your arms.
So
I just wondered if you had any. You don't have any fat.
I have look at though, I do have very thin, like very fine, barely any hair.
Like a very, I'm petting Charnell, by the way. She's like a very soft chimpanzee.
I am. There's like no, it's so weird. And it's very blonde. My eyelashes are super blonde too.
Yes. I will note for the record that you do not have hairy black arms.
It's like, it's weirdly blonde.
Fine and blonde.
It's weird. So moments later, they wrap her up in a fireman's coat. They carry her out to the ambulance. And she said, all the EMTs and police officers said that the thing that surprised them the most is that like she wasn't shell-shocked or timid at all. She was just like looking around and was really calm. Of course, she didn't have separation anxiety from like, where are you taking me? She had absolutely no bond whatsoever, which we've seen in other cases of captivity where they do have moments of panic of like, where are we going? Just take me back. Stephen Smith felt that way.
Yes.
And
or they're bonded to their abuser, right?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes they show them love, and absolutely. But this was just none of it.
No, she was just completely just like, hey, what are we doing here, guys? Yep, no.
Just happy to not be in the closet.
Her brain had atrophied.
Oh, my.
Yes. That is a big reason why she had absolutely no expression, had absolutely no idea. The fact that she could say as many words as she could is a pretty big miracle, but it's because, and a trigger alert just for a heartbreaking detail, they played country music very loud right outside of the closet door, which taught her language. That's what she taught language from, but they played it so that people couldn't hear her screams. The nurses were waiting for Lauren when the ambulance pulled up into the Children's Medical Center. She was taken into the exam room. Doctors were listening to her lungs, taking blood, all of that stuff. And the nurse tells the detectives she's got a lot of internal problems. We think that her body is trying to shut down and die. She had gained 2 pounds in the 6 years that she'd been living with her mother. Her last known visit to the doctor was with Bill and Sabrina Kavanaugh, and it had been when she was just 18 months old.
Was this possibly when they thought that she was being sexually abused?
Yes, it was. And at that appointment, she weighed 23 pounds. When she was admitted to the hospital the night she was rescued on June 11th, she weighed 25.6 pounds. So doctors and nurses at the Children's Medical Center wept in the hallways after examining Lauren's skeletal and scarred body. Even in a hospital full of sick and injured children, the damage was shocking. We had seen abuse cases before, but of course, nothing to the extent we were learning as her story unfolded, said the play therapist who actually worked with Lauren during her 5-week stay in the hospital. She said you could definitely see her in her eyes that she had a spirit that was amazing. And it was just really hard to know that human beings could have treated her that way. Lauren begged for food when she arrived at Children's, but doctors were afraid to give her much because she'd been starved for so long that her stomach lacked the enzymes needed to digest food.
Sure.
So
feeding tube, NG tube, all of that good stuff.
Yes.
Or even the feeding tube that goes in your stomach,
Yep,
right?
they did a feeding tube.
Okay.
Yeah. A big meal eaten by someone who's severely malnourished can lead to a huge bat of medical problems, including heart attack.
Okay, so just the shock.
Yes.
And then obviously maybe potentially perforation and stuff like that because your digestive tract doesn't know what the fuck it's doing anymore.
For sure, because it doesn't have to do it. It's lacking all the good bacteria. It has none of the good enzymes.
And she's been ingesting freaking carpet with whatever chemicals and urine and feces for the past year.
So this syndrome is actually a condition called refeeding syndrome, and we discovered it when prisoners of war were released after World War II.
Okay.
And that's what she had. So she was fed, intravenously at first. Then solid food was introduced in tiny meals several times a day.
And she's starving, right? She's starving. She's so hungry.
So hungry. Mm-hmm. The supervising pediatrician was Dr. Susan Scott. When she walked into the emergency room, she said, when I first approached Lauren, she was lying on the bed. She was very quiet and withdrawn, very small, obviously malnourished. And she had difficulty sitting up. She couldn't stand. She was very, very thin and emaciated. Her hair was broken and sparse. She had sunken eyes, hollowed cheeks. Several teeth were missing in the front. And by the next morning, when she went to go see her again, she had perked up just from the IV fluids and nutrition.
Hydration, right?
Yeah, yep.
Amazing what it does for your skin.
And she said she had such a jovial spirit, which I just thought was amazing. Like, she's smiling at these people.
That's a couple people that have said that now.
Yes.
They could see it in her eyes.
Yep.
Or they could
and that she
sense
just
it.
has this spirit. And they're like, they were astounded by how she's smiling. Here she is smiling because I think for the first time ever, she felt like there's people who care about me here.
And
They're treating me well.
comfortable.
For the first time ever. Now, I'm going to give you the biggest trigger alert I've ever had. This is a horrific statement that I have to make that's evidence to her sexual abuse. So skip forward if you do not want to hear it, but it's going to tell you the extent of what happened to this girl. And the reason that I sometimes I skip over gruesome details like this, but in this case I'm not going to, because of the fact that Barbie and Ken later deny even knowing that this girl's body looked like this. They deny sexually abusing her. But the doctors discovered that she had an injury that they had never seen before called rectovaginal fistula.
Yes, I know exactly what that is.
Yes. So, if you guys don't know, her genital area was very abnormal. She didn't have a separate vagina from an anus. It was just one large hole.
Right. The rectum was literally emptying through her vagina.
It was. Yep. Because she had been so significantly and severely sexually abused.
That it tore through the tissue.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. That injury did require a series of reconstructive surgeries. She had a temporary colostomy bag for a while, but that wasn't even their most immediate concern. Their most immediate concern is the malnourishment. They had to even get her out of the malnourished state before they could operate on the reconstructive surgeries. So if that doesn't make you hate Ken and Barbie, there's nothing on this planet that will at this point in time. Yeah.
No, the only thing I'm thinking at this point in time is there death penalty for a non-capital case in Texas?
Right. Please tell me someone just took all their taints. Just tell me. Can we do the same thing to that? Like, why is that not a thing? Tell me, Judge, why can we not issue the same punishment that they gave their victims?
Yeah, so there's a legal code there, and we're not supposed to go back to an eye for an eye.
Oh, this isn't the medieval times?
No.
God damn it.
Nope, but I have another suggestions, however.
Yeah.
Ken, I want you to come over here for a minute. I have a toy I want to show you.
Yes. I have a saw for you, Ken.
Yep.
Yep. So on that just terrible note, that is where I'm going to leave you for part one. So we know the significance of her trauma. And now in part two, I'm going to tell you about what it's like to be abused to this extent and then move on, how you move on. There's a lot of good information about Sabrina and how they parent a child, the difficulties that come with parenting a child that has suffered all of the abuses. Okay.
Right, because no one can expect normalcy at this point.
No, and they didn't. They
Okay.
really do a phenomenal job. And just, I'll give you an update on how her life has progressed and also the court case and what went on during that. So that's coming in part 2.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a brain bath.
Oh, God, bathe me, please.
Right now. It'll be the first time. Actually, it's not the first time I've bathed you, but no, I'm just kidding. We're not those kind of friends.
I mean, not
Give
anymore.
us enough wine, but we're not opposed to it. It's just not come up recently.
Make it a good brain bath, Charnell.
I once told Jason, oh, by the way, guys, so Megan and Jason and I are all friends, and we are planning an episode or more where the three of us could be on at the same time, and it might be its own podcast.
It should be highly censored.
Highly.
We possibly need a supervisor.
Yes.
I don't even
We
know.
need a mediator.
We do.
I think.
We do, yes.
But where the fuck was I going with that? Oh, I had
Our brain
originally,
bath.
yeah, I had originally told Jason, I'm like, oh, we should do a brain bath episode with Megan. We could just all bathe together. And I just left it hang in the air
That's
like that.
perfect.
We'll all just bathe together, Jason. It's fine. He's like, yeah, 2 chicks and me in a bathtub. That's not
Never
a dream
happened.
come true.
Great.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry,
so
Jason.
let's give you like stupid criminal stories since you are a judge.
Oh, my God. I've never heard any of those before.
I bet you haven't.
Never.
I bet your days aren't full of anything like this.
No, people are always very appropriate when they're committing crimes here. Right.
Yes.
Please share with me the things that I see every day.
So this one, 18-year-old Charles A. Merriweather broke into a home in northwest Baltimore on the night of November 22nd, 1978. Okay. And he horrifically rapes a woman who lives there.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. And then ransacked her house. But this is why I'm covering it on the brain bath section, because he discovered that she only had $11.50. And he asked her, how do you pay your bills? She replied, by check. And he ordered her to write a check for $30.
Oh.
And then he changed his mind and he upped it to $50. And so she's like, okay,
What's your name?
Who should I make it out to? She's a 34-year-old government employee. And he says, Charles A. Merriweather, and said, it better not bounce or I'll be back. He was arrested several hours later.
Oh, Charles, no.
Who shall I make it out to? You know she had to have been like,
Are you
oh, damn, I
kidding
got
me
it.
right now? Right?
Yeah, like I got
So you've
this.
been through a horrific experience. It's been awful.
Absolutely.
He's trying to rob you of your $11.
And 50 cents in cash, and then has a full-blown fucking conversation with you. He wants to know how she pays her bills. By check.
Let me write you a check.
I do it by check.
See, now we can just do a money transfer, right?
Venmo me.
What's your PayPal,
Yeah.
man?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
I'll just Venmo you. True story, when I was in Nashville, a bathroom attendant was lovely, and I didn't have any cash on me because I keep it
Did
in
you
my
Venmo
husband's
her
pockets.
tip?
Sure did. She's like, I have Venmo. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm Venmoing you right now.
I love that.
I was her first Venmo customer.
Oh,
Later, the next day, I was like, what's this Venmo charge?
Oh.
Who is this woman? And I realized, oh, yeah, lovely bathroom attendant. But that bitch had everything in there. A razor, deodorant. People were coming in and saying...
perfume.
Oh, she had it all. She had
Deodorant?
She had cigs.
Condoms.
Yes.
Feminine
yes, she
products.
did. Yes, she
She
did.
had cigs?
She had cigs, and people were buying them $2 a stick.
Fuck yeah.
I know. She's genius. She was absolutely genius.
She deserved the tip.
And when I was in there peeing, just in the time it took me to pee, 3 people came down and said, I heard you've got deodorant.
I love that.
Because, they're dancing. It's
Yeah.
Nashville. Like, they're dancing. They're jamming. They're probably looking to hook up.
You can't take the hot drummer home if you smell.
You cannot.
I mean, that's
Nope.
what
And
the
she knows that.
station attendant's for.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yep, it sure was.
We need
Also,
those here.
that bathroom was the
At
cleanest
court.
bathroom I've ever had. We do need those in court.
Right?
Yes, we
All
do.
public restrooms should have a
A lovely bathroom attendant.
And they just work on tips.
Yep.
Or I have a lot of people right now on probation that are looking for jobs.
It's a perfect solution, Megan.
I think so.
Yes,
Thank you.
I think you should
for the
offer that.
idea.
And they can just sit and have delightful conversations. I'm telling you, I have not had a more delightful conversation with someone in a long time until now, of course.
In a bathroom?
Tonight's especially not in a bathroom. Yeah, and I'm usually very bladder shy, but she made me feel so at home. It came out no problem.
Oh, this is true. You do have some issues with that.
I do. I really do.
She did make you feel comfortable.
Yep, because there I was. Could have been the alcohol.
In
but
all your glory.
It really, hey, if you've never been in Nashville, they're
I
not
have.
paying me for this, but go.
Oh, no, I have.
It's awesome.
I
I
had
had
a
so
very
much
good
fun.
time there from what I
From
recall.
what you remember. Yes, that's basically how mine went as well. But I do remember that bathroom attendant in that clean bathroom. So let me tell you another one, though.
Okay.
How about on the night of August 23rd, I don't know where I got the other two from, 1980, a well-organized gang of thieves began their raid on the safe of a leisure center office in Sussex. It is Sussex. By stealing a speedboat.
A leisure center?
Yes, a leisure center in Sussex.
Ooh.
They stole a speedboat. They were using water skis to paddle across the lake.
Words
They
are
picked
hard.
up their equipment. It's more like reading is difficult. It's my first time.
Well, when you memorize everything.
I know. It is. It does make that skill less.
Sure. That part of
What
your
the fuck am I trying to say?
your brain has regressed.
It has.
Let's
It's
scan
also
you.
late at night. Everyone should know it's late at night.
it?
And so we're slap it. For me,
Oh.
it's 9:07.
Oh, good God, Doris, it's not that late.
Doris.
My God.
You're right. That's just a thing now. When we're making fun of someone, they're just Doris.
Right. I like that too. All right, so they steal a
So-
speedboat.
They stole a speedboat. Wearing water skis to paddle across the lake, they picked up their equipment and paddled on to the office. However, what they thought were cutting tools turned out to be welding gear, and they soon managed to seal the safe completely shut.
Wait, oh my God. They think they're cutting into the safe and they're welding it shut?
Yep.
Oh my fucking God.
Yep. This whole time, they thought they were busting in to this safe. Yep.
So, can I just
They
throw
were
out
making
there,
it more secure.
They were. There's a significant difference between
Thank you.
welding tools and cutting.
Can you see me staring at this thinking, did I miss something? But no, that's exactly what it says. They
Oh my
thought they
God.
were cutting tools, but it turned out to be welding gear.
You know, all I can think right now is for charging purposes, they might have just done the most brilliant, ridiculous thing ever, because there are separate charges for safe breaking and also for being in possession of burglars' tools. And I don't know that they were
They
able.
didn't do either one of those things.
They accomplished neither.
No.
Right? So there's an attempt and a conspiracy.
Yeah, yes, they were trying to get into the safe of the leisure center, but they did steal a speedboat and used water skis to paddle across the lake. So I will say there was some thievery in that, the speedboat and the skis and whatnot. And they used those, they got all that equipment to get into that safe of that leisure center. And that equipment was welding gear. So must be they thought that, like, they've watched Ocean's 11 too much, even though this was 1980, so it was way before Ocean's 11, but James Bond maybe, too much, and thought that those, whatever that heat tool is that legitimately melts metal to open it, that's what they thought they were doing. I'm sure.
God bless their heart.
No, but they were just
How
making
were
it
they
more
caught?
secure. Oh, the next morning it took the office staff an hour to hammer and chisel the safe open again. I mean, it had done damage to it,
This
but
is when you want to get time to go home.
yeah.
We have just arrived.
We've just arrived. We can't get into the safe.
It is welded shut.
Sure is. Don't know who did that. Don't know who wanted to make it more secure, but mission accomplished.
Oh, fuck this. I'm going home.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Let's see. Oh, how about The Worst Lawyer? This one's titled The Worst Lawyer.
Oh, I love that you thought of me when you read that.
35-year-old Marshall George Cummings Jr.,
I like
because
it
of course
already.
he has
I
all
like it
those
already.
names, of Tulsa, Oklahoma, was charged with attempted robbery in connection with a pure snatching. It says,
purse?
It says pure. There may be a typo. I'm not
What?
even drunk-eyed. It says pure, P-U-R. A pure snatching at the shopping center on October 14th, 1976.
It means purse.
I'm sure it does. During the trial of...
Wait, he's an attorney and he snatched a purse?
He was charged with attempted robbery in connection with this purse snatching, yeah. During the trial the following January, Cummings chose to act as his own attorney, because it's always a good idea.
Well, if you are one.
And while cross-examining the victim, Cummings asked, "Did you get a good look at my face when I took your purse?"
I love it.
This can't be real. This is so...
I have had cases like that.
Yeah.
Are you sure it was me that stole that, officer? And he said, yes. And he said, how did you know? And he goes, because I was looking at your face. Legit, this happens. It's a real thing. Welcome to my life.
Did you get a good look at my face when I took your purse?
And you know all I can think of is if he had to steal a purse, is he the attorney in the case in Texas that only got paid $650?
Perhaps. Because this is Oklahoma. They're close, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Could be. Could be. He later
Please
decided...
read it again. Read the quote again. I just have to hear it.
He asked, "Did you get a good look at my face when I took your purse?"
I love it. Can you imagine you're the judge sitting there at this point in time? I think I'd be like, sir.
And can you imagine being the victim where he's like, "Yes, I'm also looking at you right now. Got a good look at your face then and now."
Just crying a little. Go ahead and finish.
Well, he later decided that he was going to go ahead and turn his case over to a public defender.
Weird.
But it was too late. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison for purse snatching.
Like it. Does it say purse
Oklahoma
there?
doesn't fuck around.
No.
Actually, it doesn't.
It's because
continues to say pure snatching.
That's not really a purse snatching. That is armed robbery or burglary. I mean, if
10
he
years
wasn't
is a
armed.
lot.
It didn't say anything about him being armed.
I just said attempted robbery in connection with a pure snatching.
So ours would be like a larceny in a building, which is a 10-year. But
Are we missing? Is pure standing for something else? Were they trying to snatch a human?
pure snatching.
Pure snatching.
No, it's got to be purse.
I would think that it was a typo by
This is Oklahoma. Do they have a noun there that we don't have?
Guys, tell us.
Are you from Oklahoma? And what is a pure?
Do you know what a pure snatching is? Because it has to be purse. I mean, because it's just missing the S. So, but I can't believe he got 10 years in prison for that. Oklahoma doesn't play.
No, I don't think.
You don't rob people there.
No, I don't think that would happen here with current sentencing guidelines.
That's not what Judge Megan is given.
I mean, maybe I'm assuming he's a first-time offender because he's an attorney, but that could be completely wrong.
Well, that's true, too. Yeah. Yep. Oh, my God, there's another Oklahoma one, too. Oh. Dennis Newton was on trial in 1985 for armed robbery in Oklahoma City. And his attorney, Larry Jones, asked one of the witnesses, the supervisor of the store that had been robbed, to identify the robber. When she pointed to the defendant, Newton jumped to his feet, accused the witness of lying, and said, "I should have blown your fucking head off."
Oh, my God, I love that, too.
After a moment of stunned silence, he added, "If I'd been there, that's what I would have done."
Good cover. Good cover.
He got 30 years in prison.
Motion to strike my comment, Your Honor. Why? Because it's prejudicial. It ruins my whole defense. Gone. He got 30 years?
30 years.
But that was an armed
This was
robbery.
armed robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one was bad. But I'm saying Oklahoma, man, you don't fuck with those Oklahomians.
Don't fuck around.
Is that what they call themselves?
Oklahomans?
Oklahomans. I said homians.
I like homian too. Again, if you're from Oklahoma and we have insulted you, please let us know.
Also, just please don't be insulted because
But here there's
who we are.
Michiganders.
We are.
But I've heard people refer to us as Michiganians too.
Oh, I have listeners from Massachusetts that are like, yeah, we call ourselves massholes. And I love that.
That is
brilliant.
Oh, I love
we
it.
need something like that for Michigan because Michiganders does not encompass all of us.
I know some people from Massachusetts and I agree with their statement.
Right. They're massholes.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect.
Oh, guys. All right. Well, make sure if you're a Patreon, jump on over to your part 2 because you get it right away. If you'd like to join Patreon, the link is in the show notes of this episode. Feel free, or you can go to Crime Curious, patreon.com/Crime Curious. You can find us and join there. Very reasonable rates to be able to, skip ahead to the next episode.
I agree. I'm a very recent subscriber and it's addicting.
Yes. You've been binging on all of the episodes that you've been missing this whole time and didn't even know it. There's
I have.
Lots of content there for you to binge, guys. Also, follow me on social media. Interact with me. Send me case suggestions. crimecurious@yahoo.com or to any of the social media messaging platforms. I'm not as great with the Twitter. I'm really working on it.
I don't tweet.
If you ever see something that doesn't seem right, it's because I'm an old lady trying to operate Twitter. And write me and let me know I've done it wrong.
You need to have one of your kids.
I'm going to accidentally post a nude on there or something and not know. That's what I'm scared of.
And I hear that there's not an unsend feature like on other platforms.
See, and I don't even know that.
Yeah, I was unaware. I made it up.
Could you imagine if my jugs were out there for the world to see forever?
I mean, I feel like this is the reason that we were born in the era that we were.
Yes.
I'm 6 years older than you. We'll throw that out there.
Yeah,
but still, there weren't social media platforms for a reason, so that we would all have the jobs that we do now.
Yes, that's true. That is a good point. I'd like to keep that one, though, so I don't want to accidentally put my jugs on Twitter.
On the other hand, your fan base would exponentially increase. Just a personal opinion. Congratulations.
Thanks. On that note, I'll talk to you guys next time. Megan will come back for part 2 as well. I'm hoping. I'm basically making her, so she'll be here too. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.